everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Laurie. How are you?
Hi, Catherine. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm really good. As I was mentioning just before we went live, and I'll announce myself in a moment, I just came from an amazing yin restorative practice with a healing sound bath. And that was just harmonious, to say the least. So I'll talk more about that later. Let me introduce myself to those of you who are here for the first time tonight. Welcome. And for our regular followers, thank you so much for being here. I'm Catherine Sarah Myers, affectionately known as RaRa. I'm broadcasting to you live tonight, harmoniously, from Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. And I'm here with my amazing partner doing the tech.
I am Lori Delk-Radecki, and I am outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
This is our Gratitude Girls coaching and training. We are live every week. Tonight, we're going to talk to you about two words: sales, selling, and integrity. So if you have anything to do with sales in your job, in your career, in your company, as an entrepreneur, as an author, and if you're in touch with your integrity, this will upset you tonight because we know people that have been victimized. Is that the right word? Victims of people who are not in integrity and creating sales conversations. So it happens. We're appalled by it by ourselves. And, we've sort of heard about it for the last, 40 years. It's not like it's new. I don't want to say I've been listening to it longer, but I have. So tonight we'll talk about that. The title of our coaching is called, Lori has it right in front of her, exactly.
Are you selling with integrity?
Okay, ask yourself that question before you make a sales call, before you have a pitch or a prospect, and you know what that appointment is for. Are you selling with integrity? And are you being sold to with integrity? So we'll talk about that for a minute. When you contact someone and you have set it up, what it is that you're going to do, and you know how much time you're going to have, and you know the reason and the purpose for the call, we can give you structures for that in case you're like, how do I do that? We can discuss that with you. When you do that, do you remain in integrity so that the other person knows? If I were to call Lori, if I were to set an appointment up and she knew we were going to have 15 minutes to discuss her needs, would I give that at least 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 minutes for Lori to discuss her needs so I could listen to that and then come up with a plan? Or am I ready to sell her this book before she even finishes because I know that that's the book that she needs and her life is going to change? Because that's not really being in integrity. Would you like to comment on that, Lori?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, one thing I caught when you were saying is like exactly that. Are you actually listening to the person, or are you only worrying about, okay, wait for them to take a breath so I can jump in and say what I have to say, rather than replying to the person, listening to the person and replying to the person? And are you like selling them what they need, or are you selling them the product or service or whatever that you're going to make the most money on?
Right, because when we talk about selling with integrity, I mean, this has happened and we have lots of stories. Someone may want what you have, but maybe they don't think they can afford it, or they don't have the cash flow, or at the moment they just cannot digest what you've told them. So they want it, but, the but negates everything. So in integrity, give them a chance to understand the value proposition. Be clear, ask them if they understand, and perhaps let them sleep on it. Pick another day to get back to it because it doesn't have to be instantaneous. Integrity could be something like, I'll talk to you about your needs, and as soon as you're done, it's $2,500 because that's how many sales I have to make today at that price if I work for a company. And they said, that's my quota for the day. That's not in integrity, right? That's not being in integrity. So if you forget yourself, and it happens, you may say, oh, I did that today. If you forget yourself and you sell someone or try to sell them and don't really listen to what their needs are, and you don't become flexible, then you're not in integrity. Now, if the client doesn't want to be flexible and the client isn't accepting that, then you might have another discussion. We can talk about it. It goes two ways, right? So it's not just about what you're selling. It could be many different things. It could be the other person on the other line is not, on the other side is not in integrity. And then we can discuss that. So Laurie, sometimes we're on the other end of someone perhaps pushing our buttons as the person who's selling, and then it doesn't turn out so good. You need to be really skilled and really practice deep breathing, harmonious breathing. So what do you do when somebody pushes your buttons?
Yeah, so it's funny that you said that because I had that situation this week, literally. So I was buying something and I got quotes from a couple different people. And I got a quote from one person and I got a quote from another person, and it was the exact same thing to a T, like same brand, same model, same everything to a T. But one of the people said, "Oh, what did they quote you? I guarantee you I'll beat their price no matter what." And so then someone else I know got quotes from these same people, and they said the same thing to them. And then they said that that person, they degraded that the other person. They said that person hasn't been doing it very long. That person isn't as good as me. And I guarantee you I'll beat the price. And so my husband and I talked about that, and we said, you know, I mean, we're always looking for a good deal, right? We like to save money, but we're not going with the lowest one just because they're willing to undercut someone and they're talking bad about them and they're saying they'll beat it no matter what. Like, we appreciate the good deal and we wanted the quotes for a reason, but and there were some other words in there that I just won't go into in case either one of them are watching the show. But um just we really just felt like the other person literally did not have the integrity. And people feel it. People see it.
Mhm.
It you know, your ambiance about you, right? It protrudes from you.
You're so right. And the word, so this came up today as well. Somebody gave their word on something, and then they're like, well, do I have to really do that? Like, why do I have to do that? If you give your word that you're going to do something, you're the salespeople. If somebody gives their word, just do it or don't speak because you're going to lose somebody's vote. Somebody's going to feel that you're not being honest or truthful. So how you feel about the best price isn't the reason that you're making the decision, because it's the integrity of the person. That's the first thing to go. If the integrity goes, the sales go. So if somebody says they're going to do something, they should stick to it. And if somebody says they have a better price, then they can list out the reasons why, but maybe the price is better because they're going to cut back on something that you want, that you're willing to pay for. I'm willing to pay for honesty.
Mhm.
I'm willing to pay for truth and customer service. I'm not really interested. Like, I went to buy some coffee this week and I went in to buy a couple of coffee pods at Nespresso. I guess a little plug for Nespresso. And when I walked in, they said 10% off if you buy this. And I thought, okay, so I'll buy a few. And then they said, well, 20% off if you do that. And I thought, oh, well, that's pretty nice. Okay, 20% off is pretty good on my coffee. And then they said, well, why don't you try this and taste this? And by the time I was done, the value of me buying more was there because now they were servicing me, giving me choices and tastes and try this and see what that's like, and then explaining what they thought. So even at the end of the day, if that coffee is more expensive than buying a bag of coffee and grinding it ourselves, the convenience of the coffee and the ambiance, the experience and the service made it worth my while. And they didn't, when I walked in, they didn't say, as soon as I walked in, they didn't hit me up with the 20% discount as if I would be missing out. So integrity is also how you deliver, like you just said, how you deliver a message. If you can deliver it with integrity, then it will be taken like that. So we walked in wanting to buy 5 sleeves of coffee and walked out buying 18.
Win for you and win for them.
Right. I didn't buy something I didn't want. It was more money than I wanted to spend, but I had a partner in that. So it was okay. It was fantastic. It wasn't my exact plan, but that's what a good sale is. And it wasn't that they were out of integrity because I bought more than I bought what I wanted to. That was it. It seemed like a good deal. So when you're selling, think about the Nespresso sale. You walk in, you have an experience, somebody makes you feel good, you taste, you have choices, you could do this or that or do what you want, and it's all up to you. Your subconscious decides what it wants to go for. If somebody says, well, I'll just do better than whatever you decide, that's really saying, like, you made a bad decision and now you should make a better one. So it's sort of an insult, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it just didn't feel like
Mm.
in alignment, like we talk about that on our show a lot about feeling that alignment. If you're not feeling aligned with a business partner or a friend or a potential client, maybe you shouldn't work with them. Like Catherine and I talk about that all the time. We have coaching clients together and we have coaching clients separately in our businesses. But there's lots of times that we do not accept clients because we don't feel aligned with them.
Yes, and it might be something that they haven't really said. So you could give the vibe by not saying something and being out of integrity. So if someone gives a vibe or if you give a vibe, that might not align with that person and it may not align with us. It takes an awful lot of energy to go and put yourself into somebody's situation and correct it. On a closing note, someone said something to me today about, boy, that was quick, so it must have been easy, so it must be less expensive. And I thought, does experience get rewarded or does experience get less than rewarded? So everyone's perception on how long and arduous it is, maybe the long haul is what's worth more as opposed to I can do that quicker because I have more resources and perhaps more capacity. So think about that when you're speaking to people. Understand their value system. Be in integrity, be who you are, remain in your posture. But sometimes people are making judgments on things that you have no clue about. So find out what the customer is really thinking so that you don't get into a situation where one or both of you don't feel right. Okay, wrapping that up tonight. Wow, I love this topic, Laurie. In 1 minute, how can people get in touch with us if they want to take this further?
Yes, absolutely. So make sure you to go follow us at facebook.com/gratitude girls and on all social media channels at gratitude girls. And like us, review us, follow us, subscribe to us wherever you're at, whatever the option is. Share us in your stories. And if you like these trainings, make sure to follow us, tag us, share it, and let us know. Send us a message on what you'd like more trainings on, or if you want to go deeper into it, gratitudegirlscoaching@gmail.com, or send us a message on Facebook or our website, gratitudegirls.com. We've got over a decade of trainings there that are free to you. Have a great night, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Good night. Thank you.